Guys, thanks for tuning in. In today's video, I will be showing how to fly an RNAV GPS approach on the Garmin G1000 in a Cessna 172. In the video, I will demonstrate how to use some of the Autopilot and other automated functions on the G1000 flight display. We'll be flying a short flight from Renton Municipal Airport on the southern shores of Lake Washington over across the Puget Sound over to Bremerton National on the Olympic Peninsula. So this is the flight plan today. We're going to fly from Renton Municipal over to the, we were cleared for the low-full transition. That's our initial fix on this GPS approach. So first thing we're going to do here, we got our altimeter setting here. We're going to adjust the barometric pressure setting, which is 3023. So that's on the right side of the G1000 display there. You just turn that knob and adjust that to 3023 to get the correct altimeter setting. And then on the left or on the right side there, you can see the FPL button. That's the flight plan button. So we've got this flight plan loaded into the G1000. You can see we got the RNAV approach into runway 20, which is the GPS approach. RNAV into runway 20 at Bremerton National, and then we've got the low full fix there and all our waypoints. We've also got the missed approach procedure if we need to. The visibility over there before the flight was about a half mile, which is right about at the minimums to be able to fly this approach, but according to the weather briefing, the weather conditions were improving, so we'll see how it turns out here. We're going to fly this one. Its estimated time en route today is about 30 minutes over here. So we've done our pre-flight checks, and we'll get ready to depart here out of Renton Municipal Airport. We're on runway 34, making a north departure. And then we will be flying out to the west over Seattle and Puget Sound. So we'll make our takeoff here. Just trying to stay centered on the center line here. We're gonna rotation speed for the Cessna 172 is about 55 knots. So once we get up to that VR speed, we'll go ahead and rotate. And then you can see there on the left side, right by the airspeed tape, that they've got RxGY, which is the rotation speed, the best rate of climb speed, and the best angle of climb. And then you've also got the G, which is the best glide speed for the Cessna 172. So we got the Bellevue 4 departure procedure here. So we've got that loaded in as well, but we'll climb out here. Cruising altitude today, we're going to try to stay about 3,500 feet. Later in the video, I'll also show kind of a couple features on the G1000, like the autopilot, and then like altitude hold mode, vertical speed mode, things like that. So climbing out here, you can see it's definitely IFR conditions out here tonight. Visibility is fairly low, but we're going to climb up to a cruising altitude and then make a left turn to fly out westbound toward Bremerton National. And then I'll show you how to do the direct to settings. So we're going to go direct to that low full waypoint, which is the initial fix for this approach. We're cleared by ATC through the low full transition. So you can see there, we'll click the activate button once we got the low full initial approach fix. And so you can see how the GPS in the HSI compass there in the middle of the screen, it turns to a north-northwest direction there, and so you can see on the top of the G1000 there as well, we've got the low full IAF, which stands for initial approach fix. We're about 25 nautical miles, 24.8 nautical miles. We'll be trying to stay on a heading of 297. And you can see on the right side there as well, we've got our GPS track. And then on this GPS, the GPS in the Garmin G1000 is displayed in magenta. If you're on a VOR approach or ILS, it'll be shown in green. But in this one, we're flying a GPS approach into Bremerton National, so that will be displayed in magenta. So we're about 3,700 feet right now. Airspeed, indicated airspeed is about 107 knots. You can see on the bottom there of the airspeed indicator, true airspeed is about 113 knots, and then we're going to fly back towards the left. We're a little to the right of course right now, so we're going to fly back left towards the needle to get back centered on course here. We'll show you out to the left there. There is Seattle. It's kind of cool. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, just a really robust platform. Just very realistic. You can see there Seattle, Elliott Bay off to our left. Airspeed's coming up a little bit here. We're up to about 124 knots. Definitely want to reduce power as we start to descend a little bit. Climbing back down to our altitude, our cruising altitude today, about 3,500 feet. And then as we reduce power, you can see the airspeed start to come down there. Just to do a little to the left of course, so I'm going to fly back to the right towards the needle. So I'm going to show you a couple of features here on the G1000. So you can see there on the left side, we've got a bunch of buttons. That heading select mode, that you can see those magenta bars there. If you select that heading select mode, it'll point you to a desired track, whatever that track is, whatever heading you pick, and then it'll give you guidance towards that approach track. See, if we engage the autopilot there, you can see the letters AP with that are highlighted. We've got the altitude hold mode on right now, which is at 3,520 feet. We'll turn the nav mode off, and you can see the magenta command bars in the flight displays center back to level. So you can see that the flight display will kind of hold our altitude there right at about 3,520 feet. So we've got that engaged. You can see on the top of the G1000 the abbreviation ALT, so that'll keep us kind of centered there, close to that altitude. Again, a little to the left of course right now. As you can see, the CDI indicator. We're going to fly back to the right towards the needle to get back on track. See, we've got there's a heading select mode. If you click that and then you adjust the track there, see those magenta bars? That'll give you your guidance to fly that selected heading. And then if we turn the vertical speed, this will hold a selected vertical speed on this. And then we can hit right now. If you hit nose down, it'll keep your desired course on a vertical speed. And then see if we select vertical speed, it says on. So right now, what we'll do here is hit the nose down button to decrease our vertical speed. We'll do if we select 300 feet, it'll hold us at a negative 300 feet per minute vertical speed. So as you can see now, once we've got that vertical speed mode selected, we've selected a vertical speed of negative 300 FPM, which is descending at a rate of 300 feet per minute. The autopilot will engage to keep us at that selected descent rate. And so see, as we engage the autopilot, it'll get us back on course here. So we were a little to the right of course, so it's gonna keep us on that desired GPS track. You can see in the top of the G1000, the abbreviation GPS. So the autopilot is now engaged, keeping us on our desired course here on the GPS track. So we're about 7.5 nautical miles from the low full waypoint. We'll intercept again. That's the initial fix for the RNAV approach into runway 20 at Bremerton National Airport. And the autopilot will try to keep us centered. It's on a heading of about 297. You can see in the upper part of the G1000. We're on a heading of about 295 right now. We'll turn that altitude hold mode off. We're at about 3,400 feet, which is our that's our desired altitude. Once we hit that initial approach fix, we'll ascend a little bit. We'll keep our altitude, give ourselves a little bit of altitude clearance. But we were cleared about 3,500 feet. So now about 5.5 nautical miles until we make our turn onto the final or onto the course when we go from low full. And then you can see there it's Gitri is the next waypoint, and then once we hit WUMOX, Whiskey Uniform Mike Oscar X-ray, we'll be on our final approach course on a heading of 197 for this RNAV approach. So I'll show you something cool. When we're in the navigation mode, the autopilot will keep us on our GPS course. So it'll make the turn here, and the autopilot will keep us on our flight when we make the turn onto our approach course. So we've got our vertical speed at about 100 FPM right now, 100 feet per minute. So we're at about 3,660 feet, and then we'll go ahead and exit out of the FPL, out of the flight plan view. You can just click the FPL button to exit out of that, and then you can see the GPS flips on our DTK desired track of 147. So you can see the autopilot will now engage, and you can see how it flies with precision here. It's going to keep our altitude steady, our airspeed right on, very steady, and we'll get on our track here of 149, actually 147. You can see how the autopilot just flies this thing with precision, just right on course. And now we will be centered on our track of 147. You can see on the approach plate from the approach fix of low full to Gitri, the course is about 147. I want to stay on that heading of 147. So again, we can engage the vertical speed here. We've got it on right now. It's at 300 feet per minute. So that'll keep you on that vertical speed of about 300 feet per minute. The autopilot will engage. And then we'll go ahead and turn that off. We're going to hand fly this approach. We're about 6.8 nautical miles from Gitri, which is our initial fix. And then once we hit Gitri, we'll turn onto a heading of 197. Show you a couple things on this. See, if you click that CDI, the soft key there at the bottom, if you click the CDI, which is, it'll toggle. You can toggle between the GPS track, a VOR, a localizer, anything that you have tuned there in the navigation frequency or logged into your flight plan. And then we can click that bearing mode. You can see that we can that's our DME equipment there, so it'll show us that we're about 5.5 nautical miles from the Gitri waypoint, and desired track's about 1471, a heading about 150 to intercept the waypoint. One thing will show you that STD Baro mode. If you click that at the bottom there, it'll automatically adjust the altimeter to the standard barometric pressure setting of 29.92, and you can see how the altitude changes there once we do that. So we'll go ahead and adjust that back. The current altimeter settings 30.23. And then to change your transponder code, click that XPDR button, and then you can just enter the code, the squawk code that you're given by ATC there at the bottom. So like if we just did 1234, and then you can hit ident. If you click the VFR, it'll give you the standard VFR squawk code of 1200. We'll go ahead and adjust it back to our assigned transponder code of 4672. Another thing you can do there, you can click you can find the nearest airports there. It'll show you the airport identifier. It'll show you the approximate magnetic heading to the airport, and then whether it has like an ILS, a localizer, if it's VFR conditions, and then it'll show you the tower frequencies. You can plug those straight into the communications frequencies. We'll go over that in a later video. This will show you like a timer reference button there at the bottom. It'll show you your different V speeds, along with if you want to set a timer, from like the final approach fix to the missed approach point. If you get that in an approach plate, you can set that up there. Another thing you can do is the Inset Map. You can see if you just want to put a little Inset Map there, you can put a map on the HSI. And then as you can see, our GPS just turned to a heading of 197, which is the final approach course for the RNAV GPS approach in a runway 20 at Bremerton National. So we're going to hand fly this. So we'll just make sure that the autopilot's turned off, flight director's turned off, because we're just going to manually hand fly this approach. So we will go ahead and turn the autopilot off. You'll see the AP there flashing with the flashing yellow. That means the autopilot is turning off, disengaging the autopilot here. And then we will make our turn to a heading of 197. We're gonna roll out a little bit to the left, of course. So we'll go ahead and turn to a heading, a little bit to the right of our final approach course, just to intercept the final approach course. Flying back, to the right towards the needle to get back on the approach course. And we're about 4.3 nautical miles from the WUMUX final approach fix. We're about altitude of about 3,360 feet here. And then again there on the right you can see some of the engine gauges, RPM, fuel flow per hour, oil pressure, vacuum, fuel quantity, things like that. We'll go ahead and flip back to another screen, but we'll go ahead and get back on you can see the GPS track there. We'll then turn that back on. Make sure the autopilot's off, flight director is off, because we had the altitude mode on there, so we'll make sure that's all off. Just making sure everything's off here, just so the autopilot does not engage while we're flying the approach, because we're going to hand fly it. You can see there in the HSI GPS LPV. Again, this is actually a non-precision approach, but it's a localizer performance with vertical guidance. It's about as accurate as an ILS, but it's not technically considered a precision approach. And there are several of these RNAV approaches that you'll see, many at smaller airports, sometimes like non-towered airports, like Bremerton National is a non-towered airport that we're flying into. So we're going to go ahead and descend now. We're a little high, a little higher on the approach, coming in a little fast. We'll go ahead and reduce. We're going to reduce power and descend. We're about a half nautical mile from the WUMAX waypoint. And then you can see our glide slope indicator. See the magenta diamond just to the left of the altimeter tape. You can see that that comes alive. Again, this is an LPV approach, so much like an ILS, it's not technically considered a precision approach, but it's almost as accurate as a localizer. So this will determine that magenta diamond will determine the glide slope here. We're a little above the glide slope because that magenta diamond is below the center line. So we're going to fly down, increase our descent rate here. We're about 2,500 feet, just past WUMAX. So the minimum altitude there at WUMAX was 2,500 feet. So little to the left of course. We're going to again fly back here to the right towards the needle to get back on our center line. Still can't quite see the runway here, but we're still about a little over 4 miles from the missed approach point. And then let's see here, we're coming in a little fast. We're going to reduce airspeed here. We're still about 4 miles out. And then you can see it there, right there. There's the runway. You can see the medium intensity lights. You can see the PAPI lighting indicator there for our runway lights. Again, above the glide slope, so we're descending at a rate of about 500 to 600 feet per minute here, reducing airspeed about 95 knots now. Right about on our approach course here, a little to the right of course. You can see as we're a little bit to the right of the runway. Again, just you can see that the CDI is deflected a little bit to the left. So you can see those PAPI lights. Now there's 3 white lights, 1 red light. It means we're just above the glide slope. So descending now. Decrease in airspeed. We're about 75 knots now. We just put down 10 degrees of flaps. So now see how there's 2 white, 2 red lights out there on the PAPI indicator. We're about on the glide slope. You can see that the magenta diamonds just a little above it, but we're almost right on the glide path now. Coming in a little slow. Got to be careful not to descend too slow here or decrease our airspeed. Kind of want to stay around that 60 to 65 knots on final approach. I'm going to go ahead and increase flaps here to about 20 degrees. Airspeed's coming down. We're probably going to need to increase power here just a little bit on final approach, just to avoid the risk of a stall here. We're about right on the glide path. Glide slope looks good. We're going to increase power a little bit here, climbing up. Airspeed's climbing up to about 55 knots. Coming in a little slow, and just about almost ready to touch down here on runway 20 at Bremerton. About on path here. Try to touch down right on the touchdown markers, those 2 white rectangles you can see on the runway there. Coming down. And we just touched down. So we are here at Bremerton National Airport. Just completed this RNAV approach, RNAV GPS approach to runway 20. So thank you guys for watching the video. Please like the video and subscribe for more aviation and flight training related educational videos.